Hello, I'm Suzanne Gold, and I'm here with Royce Yvonne McLemore, an inductee to the 2006 Marin Women's Hall of Fame in the area of social change. Congratulations, Royce, and welcome.
Thank you.
We worked together in the early days of Women Helping All People, and I'm pleased to see how far you've brought it along.
Thank you.
I have some questions that I'll ask you, and starting with your early life. Where were you born?
I was born in San Francisco, California.
A local girl.
Very local. One of the few.
Uh-huh. And what was your early life like?
Well, I was raised in Marin City from the age of 3 until 20. I got married, left, moved to San Francisco, Berkeley, came back in the late 60s, had children in Marin City, then moved back, San Francisco, Berkeley, and then back to Marin City in 1976 and have been there since.
Uh-huh. And what were your early influences, for better or worse?
I think my early influence is, I've been sort of activism ingrained, just seeing causes and wanting to participate. And I think my first person who really inspired me was Stokely Carmichael. And from that on, it just sort of got to really stirring for the good as well as the bad.
Mm-hmm. And how did you become an activist? What was your first act of activism?
Well, what really started it after that, I went to the Sausalito School District when my oldest child was a student there, and I went to the classroom, was total shock because it was like blackboard jungle. Kids were on top of the desk and it was just total madness. From that point, I went to a Sausalito School District meeting, and it was back in the late 60s where they were in the integration mode. And I saw this board making decisions for Marin City parents, and I was the only parent there. So it really pricked me the wrong way to see how can someone make a decision for me. They didn't ask me, they don't know anything about me or the footsteps that I have to walk in. So, and that's basically what I told them. And I left and went back and began to organize the parents in Marin City so that they could come and have a voice in the decision-making process for their children and what's going on. And I was successful in doing that. We actually, back in the late 60s, early 70s, tore down the Sausalito School District system, and then they were forced to have to rebuild it. And they did. For a few years afterwards, their whole rebuilding process, that's when they became a distinguished school. So it's back to square one again.
What challenges have you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Well, I've had to overcome many, many challenges, from going to the school that I went to as a child. I went to a Christian school that was supposed to be Christian, but then there was a lot of racism that was in the school. I've had to overcome in my marriage from a very abusive marriage. But I look back at all of that and I just count it joy, because it's really made me the strong woman that I am today. And I really feel that I've gone through all that I've gone through to be able to help somebody else. So I'm a survivor.
Yes, you are. Tell us some more about how Women Helping All People got started, what the motivations were, and what the first services that you started providing were.
It actually began with the brainchild of Maddie Boatman, or Miss Maddie. And it was during the period of time that I was no longer a housing authority housing commissioner. So I was looking for something to do, and Miss Maddie knew that I would be a mover and a shaker if I believed in a cause. So she came with me along to me, along with a Suzanne, and we got together at Miss Maddie's house to come up with a women's support group. So we talked about what would be a good name for this organization, for this group. And so we said Women Helping Women, because we're going to help women regardless to what the issues are. So we put together a flyer and we submitted the flyer all throughout public housing, and we planned to have a lunch in my front yard. And we had women and children coming to our first meeting who had never participated in anything before. And one of Miss Maddie's goals was, there were a couple of ladies who used to hang out, and she wanted to find something for them to be involved in. So, sure enough, they came.
We lured them with food.
With food.
We had a barbecue.
And it was really a nice group of women, and we were shocked. So we said, well, let's do it again in a couple of weeks. So we had it again, and more women came. And then the women were having more issues. And what of our job was, if a woman had whatever issue that she had, other members of the group would try to solve that issue and have an answer for her on that following week. So each week, we moved from twice a month to weekly, and it was growing, and it actually outgrew my front yard. So I went to the housing authority and asked them, could we get a unit? Would they take a unit off of the rent roll? And so they said yes. They gave us an old mildewy unit, and they didn't expect it to last longer than 6 months. And so they gave us a 6-month lease on it, and Miss Maddie's son painted it, and we were in business. The only thing that we were told, not that we would have to use it more than once a week. It was during the time that the Marin Community Foundation had started cutting back on programs. So Women Helping Women at that time began to go looking for programs that were being dropped by the other organizations in Marin City. And the first program that we picked up was our after-school program, because it was dropped and the need was there. We also had Saturday meetings where people, women and children, and then men started coming to our Saturday luncheons. And then it got so where we were just feeding a lot of the community people. They knew that they could come to Women Helping Women on Saturdays to get a good, well-balanced meal. From that, we decided to become a nonprofit organization. And it was at that time that we realized that as we put the paperwork together, that there was Women Helping Women already. So then we had to come up with another name. By this time, we were helping children and men. So then we took the name Women Helping All People. And from that point, we began to start really getting services. And it was from the after-school program, we contacted Community Action Marin to become the agency for them to do the critical family needs and the housing assistance program. So we started doing that. From there, we looked at the Ritter House, who at that time used to give away free clothing and household goods. Well, there were frictions that were developing at the Ritter House. And so Sue Brown was the executive director of the Ritter House at that time, and she met with a lady from the community to set up a Ritter House South, or Women Helping All People Finders Keepers Shop, where women could come and shop till they're dropped, but the point is everything was free. So that's how that program began. So, and each year we picked up other programs. We worked with the county. Al Arambury was our supervisor at that time, and he helped us established, and it took a whole year before it actually materialized, but our first computer lab. And so we had collaboration with the county and with ROP to provide the training. We won from the Housing and Urban Development an actual award in the year 2000, a best practice award, because we were able to create a campus of learners right there at Women Helping All People without federal dollars, by being able to collaborate with all the various county agencies and bring them to the hub of Women Helping All People to provide services for the residents in public housing.
Can you tell us any success stories about some of your clients?
We have quite a few success stories beginning, I don't want to sound like a bragging mom, but one of the first participants at our Women Helping Women luncheons was my daughter, and she had recently at that point in time had graduated from UC Berkeley, but was a single mom. Well, she went on to finish. She was one of our teachers at Women Helping All People Scholastic Academy, and recently just got her master's and is moving forward for her PhD. And this is going in the direction to really make sure that Women Helping All People Scholastic Academy will be a vital institution in Marin City. Another success story is one of our other ladies who had participated in our program. She had been on drugs, and she came to Women one day, toe up from the floor up, and wanted some help. And I had a connection to a drug program in Richmond at that time, took her, and we got clothes from the Finders Keepers shop, took her over to Richmond, and that was about 7 years ago. She never went back to drugs. Then, not to mention our students, we have students who have gone through our after-school program, who have become counselors in our summer day camps that we run now, first from a participant and then to counselor, knowing all the ropes. And like I tell a lot of people, we are, I guess, some might say it's a rut. I say it's a routine. You can almost know what we're going to be doing from year in to year out. I say if nothing's wrong with it, why create a problem? And so, not to mention, I've had 3 foster children that I'm very proud of. I had them in my home for over 8.5 years and still have the contact with them. And one's graduating from UCLA, one is a hairdresser, and one is entering her final year at UC Berkeley. So those are some of the success stories.
And how about the computer center? Have you had any business successes from the students who've gone through there?
Every student who has gone and completed the course has actually, they've gotten jobs, those that wanted jobs. I mean, from working within the county of Marin, the Mammal Center. We had a client who, this young man, he lived in Marin City, but he was from Senegal. And when he first came, he really couldn't speak English. So he was part of our ESL class. Then he went and got his GED, took the computer class, took the web design class. From that point went to Hills College and took their computer, became licensed, and had a good job after that. We've had a client who came and mastered PowerPoint. Then she opened up her own graphic business. We're looking forward to really starting it up again, because if it weren't for really people outside of Marin City who participated in that class, we would not have been able to been there for about 10 years. So now we will have the money to hire outreach worker to really just keep knocking on the doors on a weekly basis to bring people in. And hate to say, like, after it's over, then you have people knocking on your doors, you know, can I take a computer class? I do want to note another very important success stories. A few years back, when there was an influx of the Vietnamese community coming into Marin City, and they did not know how to speak English, but they were referred to Women Helping All People. And we had a nice group of Vietnamese people who learned English well enough to be able to go to College of Marin to take the ESL classes and to start taking other classes. And from that, I mean, holidays, they come by with their gifts because they're very, very grateful. They come to women to advocate for them in any of their housing needs or problems.
Great. And what are your plans for the future?
Our plans for the future are, number one is, like I said, our WAP Scholastic Academy, that we are looking forward to one day actually moving into a facility in Marin City that will be our own facility. We are looking to expand to actually, from the 8th grade through high school, 70% of the young people who go to high school in Marin City, 70% do not graduate from high school. So we're going to take that challenge on to narrow that gap. And we're about producing godly leaders. And so that is a major vision that I know will actually come to pass. And then we will keep our current location. That will be more for our adult programs that we're running for Women Helping All People. So we're going to be moving and expanding and growing.
Sounds like great plans.
Yes. So I'm in for the long haul.
And Marin City is better for it.
Well, good, better, and different. This is my purpose, and there is a need. There's strongly a need for that generation under me to really be at a position to start taking leadership. And so I also sit on the resident council in Marin City now. And that's what I see my role as, really educating the younger generation, because now I've become that senior. Years ago, I was always the young person out, but now it's all the elders are gone and I'm an elder. So I have to stand in the gap and to really make sure that the legacy goes on.
Tell us about some of your other causes and activities outside of Women Helping All People. What else are you involved with?
Well, that's all I'm involved with right now. But prior to Women, I was involved within the Sausalito School District, and from that point, I began a little school in Berkeley, and then when I moved back to Marin City in 1976, I began, or continued actually, to homeschool 4 of my children, and I did that until they were in the 10th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades before they went to public school. So that was my life. After they were enrolled in public schools, to fill in that void of what can I do now, I got involved with housing issues and became a Housing Authority Commissioner, was voted Housing Authority Commissioner, and I served on that commission for about 5 years. During that period of time, I really took my job very, very serious, and this was in the 80s, where a lot of drugs were just running rampant within our community. And I just really took that fight on literally, and called many people on the carpet and made some major changes in the way a lot of things were done. And basically, the slogan was drug-free public housing. You know that you can't totally eliminate drugs, but my goal was to push it underground deep in public housing and to make it a not open market. And so really just took it on, got quite a few busted windows, slashed tires, but I didn't care because like I told my mom, I'm not going to live like a prisoner. And it was really one day when she was at my house and I was walking her to the parking lot and you couldn't even get through for the smell of drugs. And I told him, hey, enough is enough. No respect. So I'm calling 911, and I did. And I started pointing everybody out. And that's how the war began. And now within the community, many of the drug dealers of that day, they've gone to prison. Most of them have reformed their lifestyles. And so they know who I am, and they know that I'm not intimidated by them or their ways or that next generation. So the next generation, they have had an opportunity to know Royce. And so it's because I guess I was, by being raised in Marin City and knowing how Marin City was as a community as a child when I grew up, where, you know, you respected your elders, there was no stealing, and you could leave your doors unlocked without any worries of anything. And it's that mindset that I want to see happen again, and that's what keeps me going. And if it's not within the whole public housing now, it's in my neighborhood, definitely in my neighborhood. And it's the best neighborhood in the complex. And I really think that as a Christian, our light should shine so that wherever we are, it should make a difference. So we do have a peaceful, quiet, clean environment where I live. So that's one of why I do what I do. And that crack cocaine has done so, just devastated our community. All families have been touched by that nasty drug in Marin City. So, you know, it just has no place.
Well, you've had many accomplishments with what you've done there over time, and now that you are bringing up the next generation to take over for you, what new things would you look forward to?
Well, this may sound strange, but there is a story in the Bible about Caleb. And Caleb was one of the ones that actually got to go into the promised land because he had faith. And he was promised an inheritance. So he was 40 years old when they went. No, 40 years old, wandered for 40 years in the wilderness, and in the 5 years they conquered the land. He was 85 years old. So he decided then, I need to ask for my inheritance. And he told Joshua, I'm as strong today as I was when I was 40. So I said, oh, that's a good prayer. And so I prayed, and I'm asking to be as strong today as I was when I was 40, and when I'm 80, to be just that strong. So I'm planning on being around for a very, very long time. So that next generation will be well seasoned, because this is my purpose in life. I'm going to be around.
Can you tell us some specific advice you'd have for young women today?
Yes. Number one, be virtuous. Be virtuous.
Tell us what you mean by that.
I mean to really love yourself and love your body. With the music that's going on today, where women are degraded and called the B word, and where women respond to it love yourself more than that, number one. Number two, don't do as I did. I was a teenage mother. I was a mother at 15. And the difference is back in that day, parents made the mothers really be true mothers, where you had to give up your social life, a lot of it, to be able to raise your babies. Today, grandparents are really raising their grandchildren. Two, just know that, again, God has a purpose for your life. And if you really open up your heart to that purpose, it'll make your life a whole lot easier, a lot easier. And dare to be different. Dare to be different. So many of the people, young women, old women, people in general, they do not want to be different. They want to mingle in with what they see, even if it's against what's on the inside of them. So dare to be different. I dare to be different. And I'm glad that I am different.
Well, congratulations for all your accomplishments and the wonderful organization that you've created, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Suzanne, and you were one of the three. Thank you.